Ladies and gentlemen, in today's video, I am going to be ranking every NFL team after week 3. Now, today is technically, Thursday, the 25th of September, meaning it is the start of week 4, but the time of this video, the game hasn't started yet, so we're still good. Also, I would just like to point out this is not going to be, a 1 through 32 power ranking. This is just going to be a classic tier list. Anyway, couple of plugs before we hop into it. Don't forget to use code WyattzWorld on G Fuel, Waggle, or Prize Picks. By using my codes on G Fuel or Waggle, you'll save a discount on any other awesome products. And by using my code at sign up on Prize Picks, you're going to guarantee yourself to win a free $50 with your first $5 entry. Reminder that there is a Jalen Hurts free square this weekend. All he needs is 1 passing yard for the entry to win. But always play responsibly, and let's get into the video. Okay, folks, so here we are at the list. Here are the categories. Starting at the top, we have the Juggernauts. Then we have got the legit threats. In the middle, we have got the solid ballers. Below that, we've got the pretenders. And at the bottom, we've got complete ass. So, starting off, we have the Baltimore Ravens. I would list them as a legitimate threat at this point. Now, I know they don't have a great record, and I know their defense has been abysmal. But if I'm not mistaken, I remember them starting 0-2 or 1-2 a couple years ago, and they ended up just fine. They have an offense that can beat any team in the league. They just have a defense and a head coach that, well, tend to sell them out. Now we've got the Browns. They're solid ballers. I can't classify them as a pretender, and they are not complete ass. And I'm not just saying this because they beat Green Bay, man. They have the #1 defense in the NFL in terms of yards allowed and in terms of rushing. They held the Bengals with Burrow to under 20 points. They held the Packers to 10. Also, with the additions of some of these younger talents coming around like Judkins now and Harold Fannin, they just need to develop a solid offense. Moving on, we got the Patriots. They go in the category of fuck around and find out. This team has its fair share of problems, ball security right now probably being the biggest. But I also know that they have not been playing at 100% because they have players who have either been out or players who have been returning from injury that just aren't at full steam. I think these next 2 weeks for the Patriots are going to be very telling, but I don't think that they're an awful football team. Now we got Green Bay. They're legit threats. Look, you lost to the Browns, you did. There's no other way to look at it. It's not a great thing. But you also beat the Commanders, you beat the Lions, and you gave them a pretty good smackdown, which I think is impressive. But at the same time, you're also a little bit banged up right now, where I don't know if I can classify you as a juggernaut, but you still are a legit threat at the absolute minimum. Now we got the Jaguars, assholes. They are the definition of pretenders. It shocks me that they're statistically ranked high defensively and offensively, but you watch them and you get a completely different story. The one thing that this team does have that I will credit them for is takeaway. I think they have, 6 or 7 already, and it's week 3 going into week 4. That's nuts. But I think Trevor looks awful. I think their coach looks frustrated. Their #1 receiver looks like he can't catch a ball right now. They've beaten the Panthers. They've beaten the 0-3 Texans, and then they lost to the Bengals. I do not believe in Jacksonville. Moving on, we got the Vikings. Juggernauts. Now, I think they're solid ballers right now. I mean, we can't get too ahead of ourselves. I think they do look a lot better with Carson Wentz. I think Darashaw being back is massive. Jordan Addison's going to be a big boost. But their first 2 weeks were a really rough first 2 weeks, even though JJ got them out of week 1. I would really like to see them play another game similar to last week. Now we got the Tennessee Titans. Ass. Offense is second to worst. Defense is bottom 6. Cam Ward looks incredibly green, and they have got like a bottom 3 head coach in football. Now we've got the Jets. Ass. Look, they're here because they're 0-3, and they're here because their defense on average allows 30 points a game. That is horrible. Also, why is Michael Carter just like the worst corner in the league right now? This team still does have potential. They can turn it around. They have power, but they got to do it quick. Right now, they are bad. Carolina. Fuck around and find out. I think that's the best category for them. We've seen it happen to Arizona. We've seen it happen to the Falcons. This is a team that, you think you can go out there and smack around, which, you still can, but the difference is that they're starting to hit you back. Now we got the Broncos pretenders. I know their record wouldn't suggest that they are, but they're horribly undisciplined when it comes to penalties. Bo Nix has been absolutely dreadful this year. Run defense has been brutal. Right now, I don't believe in them, and at the beginning of the season, I really did. Now we've got the Rams, and this might shock some people, but I think they're a juggernaut. I really do. They have a top 5 offense. They have a top 5 defense. What happened last week against Philadelphia was embarrassing. It was unfortunate. But for over half the game, we got to see a manhandle who is probably still ranking as the best team in football. And I think right now, they're honestly probably more impressive than Green Bay. Now we got the Raiders. They're not ass, but they're also not far from it. They show glimpses and sparks, of this offense that could be good. Their defense can definitely make plays and definitely be disruptive. But man, they have just been getting killed out there, and they have not been looking like a functional football team for more than half a game recently. Now we got the Chargers. Jugs. I think they are jugs. Love their coach. I love their offense. I think they can score points at will. Defense, I think, has been stout. I know the first couple weeks they allowed, 20 plus points, but they seem to have that addressed last week. They look great. Now we got Dallas. Solid ballers. Their defense has been the problem there, and they've only honestly really had one bad performance out of 3 weeks, if you're asking me. I know they're looking at an ugly injury right now, but I don't think they're even close to a bad team. Now we got the Saints. Ass. They have not been a good football team. Now, with that being said, am I nervous before the game? Absolutely. I'm nervous before every game because I know any team can beat any team. But as an honest ranking, they're one of the bottom teams in the league. Now we got the Eagles. Juggernauts. Haven't lost a game yet. They have beaten 3 legitimate teams. I think last week showed resilience. Still the team to beat. Seattle, they are solid ballers. Defense hasn't allowed over 17 points yet, and their offense has scored over 30 in the last 2 weeks. You might be making a believer out of me. You gotta win this week, though. Now we got the Bills. They go in the juggernaut category, but honestly, without the week 1 comeback, I wouldn't have them in that category, and I mean that. Again, that showed resilience. That showed just how great the offense can be. But then they went on to beat 2 teams that don't have a win yet, and one of the games got a little nasty. I think they look like one of, the best teams in the league, but they do still have their messes to clean up. And now we've got the Colts. They've been great, but I'm skeptical. This week, like I said, will be very, very telling. They don't even need to beat the Rams. They just need to make it a game. Like right now, I cannot put them as a legit threat, but if they go out there and hand the Rams their own ass, they absolutely will be. Now we got Miami. Ass. Yeah, as good as they played last week, I can't bring them out of the bottom there, man. You have a quarterback you can't depend on. You have receivers pissed off. You already know how I feel about your coach. Your defense has been awful. There's very little there to write home about. Now we've got Detroit. Juggernaut, kind of like the Bills with me, their defense, they give up too many points than I think anybody there really cares to admit, but their offense has been stout, man. They've scored 90 points in the last 2 weeks, and I think they're just looking better and better. Now we've got the Giants. They're not ass, but they're not far from it. They've had 2 horrendous offensive performances and then 1 glorious one by a quarterback who's now benched for the remainder of the season. I think they do have a lot of talent on that team, but they need to probably get a new head coach. And on top of that, you got to get a consistent offense. Like here we are already switching it up yet again. Not saying it's the wrong call, but you're not going to have a good team until they start to know each other. Now we've got the Cardinals. They're pretenders. I have not been impressed by them. I don't believe in them as a team. I think their offense has been lethargic. I don't think they're going to be able to keep up with Seattle this week either. Bengals, they're pretenders. They might be 2-1, but they also hold the worst offense in football in terms of yards gained. Their offense is also bottom 10 in points allowed. Defense, unimpressive. Not that good of a team. Now we got the 49ers. Great, but I'm skeptical. I can't say they're legit threats right now. They're too banged up. Now, I know they haven't lost, and I think having a win over the Seahawks is impressive, but, you got an ugly win over the Saints, an ugly win over the Cardinals, but again, all while missing, several key players, and now you're going to be missing another one in Nick Bosa. Anyway, now we got the Falcons. Not not far from it. I still like their offense. I still think their offense has the big boom. Costco guy. Boom, boom, boom. Okay. But I think they have that potential. It's just they're inconsistent. Penix has not looked great at all. And you guys are now coming off of a 30-0 loss to the Panthers. Now we got the Commanders. Great, but I'm skeptical. I mean, they got whopped by the Packers, and then they beat the Giants and annihilated the Raiders without Jaden Daniels, who is still fighting to try and come back in week 4. And I also think it's worth to note that currently their offense not only ranks in the top 10, but they've outscored every team in their division. Now we've got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, legit threats. And I know some people might be like, your predictions don't make sense. You have them beating the Eagles. Well, I got to see them beat the Eagles to make them a juggernaut. Look, this team is 3-0. They are resilient. They are also proving that they can score points at will. But they have had three narrow victories over 3 very unimpressive teams. Now we got the Steelers. They're solid ballers. I think their defense coming back to life is very, very important for them, but we need to see their offense spark up again like it did in week 1, because right now I don't think it looks very impressive. Now we got the Bears. They're fuck around and find out. I think they've had, 1 good game now out of 3. Otherwise, they've been pretty hit or miss. Meaning they're good for parts of the game and then will shit the bed in the next. But beating Dallas the way they did, I think that was a pretty impressive showing. Texans, not ass, not far from it. I mean, they have a ton of talent there. Offensively, they do. They're a little bit banged up, but they have talent. Defense, I think, is loaded. They've just been playing like shit. And ending, we have the Chiefs. Been solid ballers this year. Can't write the Chiefs off, but you can't be too impressed with them at this moment. This week is going to be very telling. Patrick Mahomes always mutilates the Ravens, so my prediction might actually be corrupt, but I'll still stick with the Ravens. And that's my list, ladies and gentlemen, of me ranking every NFL team going into week 4. Understand, again, this isn't a power ranking. Well, I guess it kind of is in a way, but it was meant to be kind of fun too. Anyway, if you guys enjoyed this video, you already know what to do to show support. You know I appreciate any and all help. I hope you guys have a phenomenal rest of your Thursday. In the meantime, I'm gonna get this whipped up so you guys can watch it on time. And as always, I will see you in the next upload.